Well, guys, we are now at the end of 2025. It's been another fun year making videos on YouTube, and it has been a fun year for movies. Sure, it has been a hit and miss with some films. There were some films that I was kind of disappointed with, but so far it's kind of been the usual thing where each year for film hasn't been the greatest, and you would kind of see why with some of the stuff that we've been getting from films nowadays, like a lot of sequels, prequels, remakes, requel boots. But that's something that's unfortunately a thing in films nowadays. Those are still gonna be made regardless. And we still had some great ones this year. Sure, some of the films on this list are either sequels or prequels or remakes, which kind of makes me sound like a hypocrite, but that's how I feel about these films. And that's what we're going to be talking about this year. We are going to be talking about the top 10 best movies of 2025, in my opinion. Now, before I get into the whole list, I am going to mention a couple of films throughout this video that I didn't get a chance to review, but I did watch them. And it's mostly because I didn't either have the time to make the reviews or I just didn't have the energy to. So be aware of that, because if you see films on this list, you're like, you didn't review that or you didn't review this film, I mean, that's kind of what happened. I either didn't have any time to or the energy to review all of these I'm going to talk about here. I also want to mention, just like I've mentioned in the past couple of years, grades here don't matter. Just because I gave a film a higher grade than the other grade doesn't mean I love it more than that film. Because sometimes I would add a film on my list that would have a lower grade, but I would still love it. Like, if I gave a film a B+, that doesn't mean I'm gonna skip it. Sometimes I would add one B+ film and put it on my list, because I would still love the film regardless, and that's why I think grades don't always matter, even though I still use them. And one last thing I am gonna bring up, I do have a few honorable mentions. These are films that I think are great, but unfortunately didn't make it on the list. Dead Talent Society, a horror comedy about ghosts trying to do a TV show where they scare the most people, which is basically a mix of either Monsters Inc. or Hazbin Hotel, and it worked. Warfare, a very dark war movie about a bunch of soldiers trying to get out of a house. It's definitely one of Alex Garland's best films, and I still think he is a perfect choice for a Halo movie. The Life of Chuck, a movie that just makes you appreciate life, but also told backwards. Roofman, a really good drama about a criminal that's trying to have a normal life and is escaping his old past, but stuck living inside a Toys R Us at night. The Naked Gun, the funniest comedy of the whole year. John Candy, I Like Me, a very touching documentary about John Candy's life. Frankenstein, a great movie about a character trying to be a good father figure to his creation. The Long Walk, an emotionally gripping and rough movie about a bunch of teenagers that are trying to do the walk but also are trying to survive in a horrible world that they live in. And Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul, even though that film is technically a 2024 movie in the UK, but in the US I am going to count it in 2025 because it did come out on Netflix in the US in 2025. Seems like a lot of films, but what can I say? I love movies. But the next 10 I am going to mention throughout this video, in my opinion, are even better. Coming in at number 10 is Wake Up Dead Man, the third film in Rian Johnson's murder mystery film, and Rian Johnson has done it again. He made another engaging story where he got you to care about the main character trying to prove his innocence, and despite it still having the same type of humor from the first two films, this one still decides to take itself seriously with the story that they're going for. And Daniel Craig is still great as Benoit Blanc, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else Daniel Craig and Rian Johnson do in the future if they decide to make more with this character. Coming in at number 9 is a movie I wasn't expecting to love, but over the past few months I thought about more, and it's now considered one of my favorite films of the year. And despite the fact that I'm not really into this type of music, the music in this film still gets stuck in my head, and the film I'm talking about is K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, I did my review for this film. I did think it was good. I enjoyed it. I gave it a B+ in my review, but after I watched it a couple more times and constantly listening to the soundtrack almost every day, I'm like, I love the movie now. And that's definitely a huge surprise for me when I watch a film that I didn't love at first, but the more I watched it and the more I thought about it, it grew on me. Where it had characters I got invested in, I cared about characters like Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. I appreciated the message that the movie was going for about facing your inner demons, and I don't just mean literally, but also getting audience to understand that you shouldn't feel ashamed of what you are, because this is something you should be proud of. And of course, the soundtrack for this film I've listened to a lot. A lot of these songs grew on me, and I think they are some of the best songs of this year, with songs like How It's Done, Golden, Your Idol, Takedown, and What It Sounds Like. To me, K-pop Demon Hunters just might be the most surprising film of the year, debatably. There are a couple of films that still surprise me, but this is definitely one of the most surprising films for me. Coming in at number 8 is Predator Badlands, and for a long time, I wasn't a huge fan of Predator. I liked the original film, but it's not one of my favorites. Where it didn't feel like it was for me, I wasn't fully interested in the main story it was going for. But this film, along with Prey and Killer of Killers, these 3 films have finally made me a fan. Where not only is this the best film from Dan Trachtenberg's Predator trilogy, but it actually got me invested in the Predator himself. I cared about Deck throughout his journey. I wanted him to learn more about why he thought his family was doing was wrong. I liked Elle Fanning as both sympathetic characters. She definitely brings a lot of energy to the film, and despite this film being PG-13, it still contains some of the best action from these Predator films, where it still makes you feel like you are watching a Predator film. Coming in at number 7 is One Battle After Another. Paul Thomas Anderson has made a lot of great films over the years, and Leonardo DiCaprio has starred in a lot of great films. And both of them have made one of the best movies of this year, where it's well acted from both Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn. It has great cinematography where you have shots that will be stuck in your head for a while, where you see Leonardo DiCaprio try to overcome his past to save his daughter, and Sean Penn playing one of the creepiest movie villains I have seen all year. We are now going to the DC side with number 6, and that movie is Superman. I'm a fan of Superman. I love the original Christopher Reeve film, and I love the Superman documentary about him from last year. And James Gunn has given us not only a strong start to his DC universe, but a movie that felt like it was made by someone that loved Superman over the years and also gave it his own spin, where it still had his style and it still felt like a Superman movie in my mind. David Cornsweet is great as Superman. I'm looking forward to seeing him play the character again in Man of Tomorrow and other things that he could be starring in. Nicholas Hoult was great as Lex Luthor, and in my opinion, his version might be my favorite movie version of Lex Luthor. It introduced us to great characters that started out small but are now big characters like Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner. And after watching this film along with season 2 of Peacemaker, I am looking forward to seeing what else James Gunn has in store for the DCU. Now for the number 5 spot, we are going to be moving from DC to Marvel with Fantastic Four First Steps. I grew up loving the Fantastic Four, mostly from the Tim Story films that I do have some nostalgia for, but this film feels like it was made by people that cared about the source material and loved the Fantastic Four from the comics, and this film turned out to be the first good Fantastic Four film. And we've had a lot of Fantastic Four films over the years. Some were nostalgic that some people enjoyed more than others, and there are some that didn't enjoy them more than others. But this one is the first legitimately good Fantastic Four film. It had really good CGI. It had great characters with the team, the Silver Surfer, and Galactus, and Herbie. It had really good production design, and of course, it does have a really good score by Michael Giacchino. Coming in at number 4 is F1. Joseph Kosinski has done it again with this film, having great race sequences that are very intense and look real, real, none of them look fake, and giving us an engaging story with two main leads that start out hating each other but then slowly start appreciating each other for what they do. And for someone that doesn't really watch racing, this movie got me invested in the characters and riveted with all the race sequences. After this film, along with Top Gun Maverick, I am looking forward to seeing what else Joseph Kosinski does in the future. Coming in at number 3 is Sinners. This is one of those films where it does get you invested in the characters and gets you to learn more about them in the first half of the film. And once you are fully invested in every character that you meet, it all slowly goes down in the second half when the vampires come in. It has a great score from Ludwig Göransson. It has a great performance from Michael B. Jordan as both the twins. It's definitely one of Ryan Coogler's best films. In fact, it might be his best film. I mean, I love Creed, Fruitvale Station, and I enjoy his Black Panther films, but Sinners just might be his best one. Now at number 2, this is a film that I unfortunately didn't get a chance to review. It's one of those films that I wish I can do a review on now, where unfortunately I didn't get a chance to review it this year, but hopefully I'll still review it one day. But take this part as my brief review for this film, and I'm gonna stop being vague there and just talk about what that film is, Together, starring Dave Franco and Alison Brie, where it's about them as partners that are having issues in their relationship, but then one day get stuck in a hole where one of them for some reason has the ability to get stuck to another person, and they're trying to figure out what caused that and what made them go through this problem. This is a very different type of horror and comedy movie where you don't really know what to expect with this type of premise, where you have both Franco and Brie trying to talk to each other normally, but for some reason one of them just won't stop trying to catch up to the other person, and for some reason they're starting to slowly fuse together, which leads to some very weird moments, leading to some pretty creepy and terrifying moments that will make your jaw drop, and they made my jaw drop when I saw those moments. It has great performances from Dave Franco and Alison Brie, and it's one of those movies that's both weird and different, but that's what I love about this film. It feels different and nothing like anything we have seen before, and we don't usually get those nowadays. And again, I would love to make a review for this at some point, and hopefully I will one day. And if you want me to review Together, please let me know in the comments below. And here we are, guys, the number 1 film on this list. It took me a couple of days to figure out which one was my number 1, either Together or Sinners, but neither of them made it, because for me personally, no other film this year has got inside my head more, and no other film had made me sit in the theater for a long time while the credits play than Weapons did. Yes, it has some plot holes. Yes, it has some characters making really bad decisions. And yes, it has some moments that would give a lot of people questions. And yes, it has some moments that feel like they came out of a comedy. Which, by the way, Zach Cregger is known for doing some comedy before he started making films like this and Barbarian. But that's what made this film great for me. It made me get invested in the story and the characters, where it has characters that want to understand what's going on, and sometimes they would make some pretty rash and terrible decisions to do so, but you get why they're doing that. You get why they're doing all those things. You don't like what they're doing, but you get it. It has some images that will give you some ideas about what it's going for. It has some moments that are saying some things that you are thinking, but you just don't say them out loud, and characters would say them. And I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about when I'm just bringing up a character having a certain dream sequence. And once you learn more about what's going on in the story and why these characters all of a sudden disappeared at 2:17, it makes the film feel more dark and twisted, especially in the finale, which is so crazy and so over the top and very creepy, where it's one of those endings where I had to sit down in my chair while the credits are playing and process both the ending and the film itself. And I don't usually get that with movies nowadays, but all of those reasons are why Weapons takes the number 1 spot on this list. And that's all I got for the top 10 best movies of 2025 video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and there are some that you're not going to agree with, but that's okay. We all have our own opinions. Also, stay tuned later this week because I am going to be posting my top 10 worst movies of 2025 video, so look forward to that video. So guys, what are your favorite movies of 2025? Let me know what those are in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.